So how can I help you today, Yusuf?
Okay, let me tell you quickly about my situation. So, I've been working with a company here in Morocco that is contracted to a client in the US, an architecture client. So I am doing draftsman work for them. This client has paid like a payroll transfer to by my contract. So they want to hire me directly as an independent contract for them.
Mm-hmm.
So starting next month, I'll be working with them as I'll be signing a contract for a year as an independent contractor for them.
Mm-hmm.
Now I am just confused about getting paid. Do I have to form an LLC or do I not need one to start working with them? What is the best option for me?
Is the company in the US?
Yes.
And what would you be doing for them? What do you do?
Draftsman work. I do like architecture plans and
Oh, okay. So
modifications.
you do draftmanship and all of that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So it really doesn't matter how you decide to contract with them and take the money. You can actually do the work in your own name and get paid for it, and that's fine. You could form an LLC if you have the money to do that. That's also okay. So it all depends. If the people or if the US company that's paying you has no problem, with you signing the contract with them personally, then there's no issue. You don't need an LLC for that.
Yeah. I have one more question about that.
Mm-hmm.
So when they are when by the end of the year of the tax year, when the IRS come asking from them, where are you guys sending that money? How are they supposed to
So before the
answer that?
US company pays you, as a foreign person, they need to get certain information from you. Usually they will request you to complete Form W-8, and the W-8 is used to verify, your foreign status. So on the W-8, you're going to state your name, you're going to state your permanent home address, and you're going to state, that which country you're from. So that form, the US company is going to keep it in their records. And if the IRS, has any questions on the kind of money they're sending to Morocco, the US company can show that, look, we have a contract with this guy. We made him complete W-8, and that's why we send the money to him. And that hopefully can resolve the issue.
Yes, and in this way, they wouldn't need any invoices from me or anything like that to verify my payments.
I mean, so every company has a different way of doing things. Some companies may request that you send them an invoice before they pay you. Some companies will pay you based on what the contract actually says. So if you guys already have a written contract that says that, okay, you draw something for me today and I pay you this amount, in some cases, you don't even need the invoice because you've done the work and you're supposed to be paid, whether there's invoice or not. So, so depending on how the company's internal processes is, they may request you to send an invoice, or they may check within the contract, what's in the contract, and just pay you directly, whether it's through ACH or money transfer or anything like that. Okay, so there's really no stringent requirement that an invoice to be sent. I mean, if that company get audited, they can actually show a proof of money moving from one bank account to the other.
Yes, I do understand that. Thank you. Now, on the other hand, if I do decide to open an LLC for convenience, to have to have bank account in the US and stuff like that, just for convenience. I have a general idea how to file for the taxes, to have a pro forma 112020 and form 5472.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I file this form, it's just my understanding as a non-resident foreign person working performing services to the United States. Even if I file these forms, I wouldn't be paying taxes. Is that correct? Or
No, so the 1120 and the 5472 is information return. It's not a tax return. Okay, so on the form, they're gonna ask you certain questions like, you know, money that you contributed into the LLC, money that you took out of the LLC as distribution, and so many other type of related party transaction. But when it comes to income taxes, you as a foreign person, you would, if that is, even if we determine that you have to file taxes and pay taxes, you would use 1040 as a person to report the income and expenses. But based on what you're telling me, you sit in Morocco.
Yes.
You sit in Morocco, that's where you provide the services. So the income on the federal level is not taxable here. And so the only form in your case, when you form an LLC, you need to be worried about is the pro forma 1120 and the 5472.
Yes. Here, like Morocco and the US have this like this tax treaty. Here's where I went like sideways. So as what it says for like for person, let me just push up here. I have it. So what it said for personal individual like individual personal service, it says that like the contraction stage in US or Morocco are like are not allowed to take like taxes if I am working from another, like from either of them. So I'm only taxable in the country I am actually like residing in.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the U.S. Morocco tax treaty.
Yes.
Okay, so a treaty. First of all, before you even start to use the treaty, you need to ask yourself whether the income is taxable in the U.S. You need the treaty when it's determined that the income is taxable and you want to get out of it, right? So let's first use the first step of this process. Number one, is that income taxable? And we've determined that if you use the US code, the code itself, let's just think about the code itself without looking into the treaty.
Yes.
The US code, the tax code, Internal Revenue Code says that income for services is sourced at where the services are performed, okay? Where the work took place and not where the money is coming from, okay? So when we look at the code, you're not considered to be engaged in US trade or business, and the money you're making is not even taxable on the federal level, okay? So you don't even need the treaty. The treaty doesn't come in. The treaty only comes in when you have actually traveled here into the US. Maybe you went to the client site, you did the work, you drew all of that stuff for them. Because you're physically here, now your income is taxable. And the question is there any way to get out of it? Okay, that is where the treaty comes in to protect you. Now, the treaty comes in to protect you to the extent that you have to prove that you do not have a permanent establishment here in the US, okay? And yes, permanent establishment could be if you have employees on the ground here working for you, you have your own offices, and you have permanent, residency here, or you come here, for a certain number of days that we can actually tell that you're trying to establish residency here, or the number of days that you've stayed here is just too much to be, considered as a resident, right? So yes, if none of this applies, the income you're making on the federal level is not taxable, so we don't even need the treaty. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So like to sum up, like how this meeting went, I don't need an LLC if I don't want to form one. My money is absolutely not taxable in the US, and the company can prove it with WH form, and the money moving from one bank to another, from bank account to another. And even if I did decide to get like the LLC, filing for the IRS would be just informative and not in any way
not a tax return. However, what I would tell you is all this discussion we've had is centered on the federal level. We've not talked about state. Now I don't talk about state because we have 50 states in the union, and I don't know where all your income is coming from, so I can't really advise you on the state level. But here's a general issue with many of the states. For example, and I always like using California. you realize that I said income is sourced at where the services are performed. That is
Yes.
federal level. California, it's other way around. California is where the benefit is derived, okay? So where the benefit is derived is if a company is in California and you are providing services to them, they pay you, the benefit is in California, okay? So California will determine, okay, someone is receiving a benefit in our state, so then we need to figure out whether the threshold, California has a threshold, right? And if you cross the threshold, then now you are liable for state taxes and maybe franchise taxes and all of that. So each state has its, specific rules and, how you get taxed on certain types of income. And they have threshold. Just because you have a client or a company paying you from another state doesn't mean that automatically you have to pay state taxes or franchise taxes. You have to always review the state laws and the rules to determine what the threshold is, okay?
Okay.
Because you have to cross a certain threshold to be able to be liable for either franchise tax or sales tax or income tax.
Okay.
All right?
All right. All right.
All right.
All
right. You got any more questions? I think our time is up.
Yeah, I saw this. Our time is up. Thank you very much for your time. It was very precious. Thank you very much. I can't say it enough.
Thank you, Yusuf.
Thank you. Have a good day and enjoy your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.